Hello, hello, and welcome to Feedback Friday, Art Edition. We're back again this week. Dave's off today, so we're going to be doing a short one today. Um, just going to be working on illustrating the holiday map, and not sure how long it will actually take. I'm building off of what we've had in previous years. I don't intend to go beyond lunch break, so it might go a little bit later than usual for lunch if I need to. But yeah, we'll see how it goes, I suppose. Um, so I also don't totally know exactly how I want to tackle it, but I suppose we can figure that out together. So I'd say let's just jump right in. Hello, Jonathan. Hello, La Pasa. Uh, let's see. So here is the Great Winter Hunt map from years prior. You may notice that it is slightly different in that it does contain the Halloween territory. But otherwise, same place, a lot of extra snow. Now what I've done each year is add a little bit more snow every time. So I think I'll keep doing that. I think it's kind of fun that it builds over the years until one day that, basically everything is just going to be coated. And then we'll probably have, a boss that just annihilates it all somehow. Let's see. Maybe be able to add some more, like, snow mice. Yeah. We're going to go with the kind of event area, as per usual. Travel to location, do all your hunting from there. Thematically and gameplay-wise, it's kind of getting altered each year, and this year it's going to have its own kind of narrative going on as well. So how we're going to tackle that, we kind of have like a Great Winter Hunt Express kind of thing going on. So I want to create a holiday train station, I think, for the area. I think that could be fun. And it's not really incorporating all of the kind of the story with that. So I'm trying to figure out if I need to kind of add an extra kind of thing to the map for this event. I might, but I'm not sure where I want to add it, because we're gonna have kind of showdown against that boss character, right? That I made last week, and so I was thinking it could be in it's kind of like coal burning kind of factory place, like mucky and gross. But there's not a lot of great areas to actually place that. I'm not totally sure where I want to do that. I suppose it kind of could belong with the radioactive sludge, but it's already pretty potently that, and there's not a lot of room necessarily that I want to kind of encroach into. A lot of the location markers are pretty tight here. I suppose that there's room here, but I don't know, not feeling that. There's kind of maybe room here. It's kind of just got a nice open area. I suppose there'd be travel marker here and here. I need to actually look at where the pips are on the map. Although, to be fair, not actually going to be traveling there physically, so it doesn't need its own pip. It just needs to kind of well, if it even needs it. But I was thinking, having some visual representation could be nice. A lot of other events, the kind of showdown kind of place has been the location itself, but I kind of feel like I want it to be in a different location, so you're traveling to it through the gameplay. But the actual kind of route that you're going isn't necessarily some linear path that you could trace very easily. I'm basically overthinking all of this. It's probably not super critical. So I'm thinking maybe I'll slap it down like along this track. And you know what we could do? So we have claw shot here, but what if for the holidays it like extends the rail to actually like connect, um, and it just kind of vanishes after the holidays. I don't know. I'm definitely overthinking all this. I don't need to necessarily actually make it work so specifically, but hmm. Hmm. Oh yeah, the white balance on this camera is just awful. Um, I probably mention it every week now, but I have south-facing windows, and due to the angle of the sun in the fall and winter, it's super low, so it's just absolutely blasting my apartment, and it has this like auto like light compensation, and like sometimes I'll just like turn beet red or orange or just become just like a ghost. All you can see is my like goatee just waggling. Um, so I don't know. There's settings I could adjust. I'm sure. Like I could just be like, hey, don't try to overcompensate the light. Just show what you see, and that might actually help it. But you know me and how lazy I am at like trying to make things professional. Uh, how many years have I been running this show? Okay. So what I'll do is I'll start by probably wiping out this kind of lot here. It's so interesting kind of looking at a map that was created 13, going on 14 years ago, and just kind of like how very evolved it has become. So many different kind of like rendering kind of techniques I've gone through on this and just changed how I did everything. Um, it's wild, like especially like this is like pure untouched, like since the very beginning stuff here. You can literally like this is actually like marker rendering on paper scanned in, because that's how I used to work, um, to actually kind of render it out. And like we repainted so much of this, like the whole ocean floor. We actually added some texture to it. It used to be just this like sludgy gray brown. Um, and then I used the floating islands and just kind of slapped them in, but they're at a different angle, so it like doesn't quite work. Like the actual map, later on I decided to actually build a grid so I could kind of like understand the perspective of what things should be kind of angled at. And there's so much inconsistency between it. There was a point when the initial creation, I actually wanted to kind of like create almost a fisheye lens to the whole thing. So I wanted there to be more kind of like stuff at the outside edges had a little more wrap to it and kind of like angled away from the center point. But stuff in the center was a little more kind of like up and down. And that was very bad because when we expanded on the map, it really like I didn't want to keep doing that. It would like limit the design and really kind of like force some weird perspectives on a lot of stuff. And so happy that I did get to re-render so much of it. That's fascinating. So on my drawing tablet, I cannot see the grid lines, but I can see them in my preview. So I really should do some more calibration on the actual monitor here. It is very easily visible on my preview. So that's telling me that I am blowing out some contrast here, because that should be visible. This is 5%, which is very low. Like, it's not surprising that it drops off if it's kind of overtuned. Anyways, that's not here or there. We'll deal with that later if I remember to. Not today, though. All right, so today I want to kind of like just keep adding to this Great Winter Hunt event. I'm going to modify the map. So I'm going to duplicate this. I like to keep the previous event years, so I kind of have the posterity to go back on and see what we did. Maybe like use elements. Oh yeah, we like blew up the ship here, didn't we? That's right. 17. This is before we added the rift, the Valor Rift. This was. Is this a comet? Yeah, actually, I didn't remember. I thought we started with the comet like further back. No, I think that was the first year we were doing golems. Huh. You can see that the lab has shifted from back then. I did repaint this because again it was like that really weird fisheye perspective. So this was before we reworked the map pretty significantly. So there's also stuff like Tribal Isles. See how like top down this angle is? Like there was no consistency with the actual like perspectives. So this is an area that I would love to like redraw to like fit the perspective of things a little better. But that's also more of a maybe I'll save that until we actually get to rework the area. I did have the floating islands, floating rock there though, so that's cool. Could have sworn that, yeah, that must have been when I added that image, because I don't think that existed before. Yeah, wouldn't have done. I don't think any of the Mosu Picchu was in back in 2016. Let's see. Oh yeah, the mountains were like sloped, pretty extreme. Let's see what else. Don't think we had yeah, the Queso Canyon. You can see remnants of the original Huntington, or not the original, the second, one of the iterations of the Huntington. We've destroyed that ship multiple times. This appears to have also shifted when I repainted it, so that's interesting. Yeah, and you know, the whole town was also redrawn. Like you can see the edge of kind of like where the wall was, and that was like such a top-down angle. Great gnarled tree has always been there. Yeah, yeah. So this was when we were doing the kind of the skiing event. That was neat. The harbor, completely different. Let's see. Oh boy, there's a lot. Okay, so this was another comet impact. I'm trying to remember what we did for this one. It's got like a satellite jammed into it. What was this event? It might have been the rocket sled event, maybe, with the nitro boosts. And then we did like the skiing race one after, I guess. This was, yeah, this was like, you can see I hadn't been doing the kind of like painting the whole map with snow until the 2015. Yeah, this was the like big snowball showdown, I think. Lighting the Christmas tree, that was neat. This was a different version of that same event. Oh yeah, yeah, the toy factory with Al? What was his name? There was the boss that like was miserable and you had to like fix his spirits. Toys. I think this was just like, oh yeah, make a buy. Nice. Yeah, okay. So a lot of various things have happened on this lot. Little journey through history there. Greedy Owl, that was the name. Greedy Owl, yeah. Could the train be coming from the sky? I suppose it could. It just, the snow comet just delivers this Christmas train. I believe that could be fun. Um, Hello Freshman, Diamond, Ashley Woods, Johnson Berry, Silphos, hello, hello, Snowyuki, Mar, Dan. How's it going, everybody? Yeah, yeah. I think that I'll try to like when we do location reworks. Ooh, hang on a second. I have a phone call. I'll bet you that's spam, so I'm just gonna dismiss it. Plug in my phone. Yeah, I think when we do event areas, I'll kind of like, because I mean we do it once a year for each event. It'd be fun to kind of look back and see what we've done. Um, if I end up doing the map on Feedback Friday, which is fun. I like to do that. Okay, so let's actually work on the thing we're supposed to be working on. So this is a copy of last year's, and what we'll do is we'll build on top of this, I think. Because I like the idea of just adding more and more and more snow each year. So just adding snow can take time. So I want to leave enough room to do that. But I also want to, make a satisfying area. Just make sure I'm not missing something. Thank you, Michelle. I'll actually post the correct link this time. Last week I posted the image to my art page, and I included a previous Larry link. That was very silly of me. Alright, so I think probably the easiest way to go forward is to just paint over this a little bit so I can kind of like sketch out what I want the train station to look like. I think I'll make it like a classical kind of just simple old-timey train station. So let's see if I can, or even just like a train stop, Just gonna try and find some kind of, come on, there we go. To actually like move a browser window fast enough to like break it into a different monitor. It's interesting how you have to do that sometimes. All right. Old school train station. Oh. Yep. Just like a little like platform, little hut, signage, rail in front. Nice and simple. Also, we have this train for scale. It's pretty small. Of course, if you actually try to take things into context, it's probably a very big train. But, nothing in this game is to scale. So that's just how it is. All right. Also, I kind of don't want it to be attached to this rail now that I think of it, because all it does is do kind of this limited route, and thematically the train is traveling to like all the air, like a whole bunch of areas that this track definitely does not. So we won't do that. Okay, now I suppose we'll do a new layer. The Musée d'Orsay was a train station before it was a museum. That is cool. Alright. Christmas tree. Yeah, so I'm probably gonna... I like all these little details. Maybe I'll just slide them over. Because they're cute and fun, but they might kind of like be encroaching on the area that I need to make this work. So I'll just pop them over. Should be fine. Don't worry about it. Boom. They were always over there, right? Okay. So we're just going to sketch on this layer real quick. I suppose we should have our grid up. So, I was thinking the track's going this way, but it kind of really doesn't work so good, huh? So I guess tracks should go this way, or they could be at any angle, technically. Let's give it a little bit of a curve, actually, just to kind of give it the idea that it's, just going all over the place. It's traversing, exploring. And yes, these tracks go over water. Alright. So if we're going with this scale, which would make sense if we try and keep that relatively similar. I don't want it to be like, wow, that's a small train down here and a ridiculously gigantic train over here. So definitely cut down on this. Right. I'm not using Clip Studio, so the way brush swapping works is different. I remember that. Okay. Now, it might be easier to do that with like a smooth brush, but it's fine. This is just a sketch. I'm gonna toss it away anyways. All right. Careful crossing the road here. Okay. So I want to be at a bit of an angle. You know, I don't want it to be completely head-on. Yeah, it's an okay angle. Maybe I'll even have kind of like a alternate platform. Loading, unloading, kind of. Nah, I think just the one platform. So that's raised up a bit. I'm thinking, do we want the train in the image? I'm thinking yes, most likely. Like the little awnings that they can have. Actually, they're quite big awnings often. So, you know, all the people just kind of waiting around for the train. Gotta protect them from the weather. especially since it's definitely going to be snowing. So sloped roof is a good idea for that kind of weather. Need the snow to slide off of it. Okay, so how to kind of like tell you that this is a train station. I think that like those kind of like clock signage things are like wonderfully classical. You know, maybe I like have some kind of like filigree kind of details that you would never see because at size, but like yeah, I feel like a station would have kind of like one of its main things is a timekeeping and like this is the destination for this or something like that. So big clock is probably a good idea. Could be like, let's see, I almost want to like slap it on the roof of this, even though it's like totally a terrible place for something like that. It's like if you're standing on the platform, you're like literally can't see this. But when have we ever concerned ourselves with actually good design? It's a fun narrative thing, that's good. Let's see what else. Domed kind of like train station where they like pull into the actual kind of station is pretty cool. I don't think I want it actually on top here. Let's see. Oh, flying train like Back to the Future 3. Oh, that's a cool idea. Why not smash the Comet into the Gnawnian Express instead? That way you can make it a festive train. It's not a terrible idea. You know what? Maybe. Like, so I want you to travel to the train station and like hunt from in there is the thing. And just based off of how we've run it in the past, this is a good place to create the location for the event. So I don't know if we would want to change that. But thematically, I love it. I think that's really quite a clever way to kind of do that. Just giant, just. But then, if you are hunting in this area, how much does that mess things up? Probably not much. I don't think a lot of people hunt at the train station or the Gnawnian Express. Okay. At any rate, I like that idea. Don't think that that's what we're going to go with, though. Okay, so I'm thinking the scale of this is a bit much. Just kind of scooting over here and looking at how small that is, I think I got to adjust a bit. We'll see. We'll see if we can make this work. Get rid of that pedestrian just waiting for the train. What if I had something like this? It's like such a small thing to create that it might be hard to make it pretty clear. I can have this come forward over the awning, and that would make more sense if you're actually supposed to like see this, and then we could put the actual kind of like timepiece there, and that works a little better. Not much, but a little bit. And we'll just slap this over here. Oh, and you know what? Do we want to make it like a gingerbread house? This was not part of the design brief, but like just thinking or like slapping this together, I was kind of like, this is kind of like I'm making it out of, like this is a design I would want to make if I was making a gingerbread house, like weird kind of like tiered roof. And it's like, how can I make this feel more festive? And immediately I thought of coating it in icing. Yeah, I don't know if we want to go with that, because that is actually like very dramatically different from anything we've discussed. To kind of just be like, oh yeah, so you're riding around on this cool like themed train doing cool Christmassy things, but also that's a candy train station. So, you know, I don't know. It's probably not a big deal actually. Maybe I'll do it. Either way, I could just be like, oh, it's not icing, it's just snow. It's just snow on the roof. You can eat snow. Might not want to, but it works. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and those gumdrops on the top. Don't worry about that. Those are just plastic decorations. You know. It would work. Okay, so one of the things that I think is a little iconic as well is I think having like really kind of dramatic pillars with like arches and stuff. I feel like that's kind of like train station vibe. So like, you know, all these like fine details you will totally be able to see, and will definitely matter. Make sure to get them all. Okay. And then there's like, for the old school trains, they had these kinds of like almost hitch things that I think, was it that they could like attach like a bundle to it, and like as the train kind of like was there, they could like drop things in or like grab it or drop, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like thinking of movie moments that were like over the top. It's not actually a thing. But if we just kind of do this, there we go. Now it's that sign thing I mentioned earlier, but also if there is some weird kind of like thing that old train stations, and I don't know what I'm saying. Words are just there and they're falling out of my face. Welcome, hello, welcome to the stream. You won't have to put up with me for too long today. I also have a like other thing that I want to wrap up. It's close to being done, but still a bit more work to do on it today. And I figure since it's nearly done, it's pretty exciting and cool. I like it. I'm having a good time with it, but I don't want to spoil the image, I suppose. So save that. I don't think that's very clear what it is, but hey, let's put some massive icicles on it. Yeah, I don't feel like I even understand what I'm trying to draw. It doesn't feel like a sign. I suppose that might be a better size. I don't know. Okay. So train tracks. There's no reason it has to be like an old school train station either. I just kind of felt like it's more, I don't know, Great Winter Hunt feeling if it's like this cozy old school looking train station for whatever reason. I think because the actual design of the locomotive is kind of a little more kind of classic looking, like a big steam engine kind of boiler going on. It's a fun little design that I like. But yeah, we could put I don't know, let's put more clocks on this. If we're gonna be like, I think that clock is an important design feature of this. Let's just like make sure that everyone that goes near this is like, boy, that really has a lot of clocks on it. Like they really wanted to be sure that we could tell the time. Like super important to whoever designed this. Just clocks everywhere. Just a real big one here. And then they should all be like different times, just to mess with you. There you go. Perfect. This is a train station, yeah. I've seen them before, I swear. I know what a train is. Yeah. This is also very weirdly off-center. Bugging me. It's, kind of the front of it, I think, needs to skew a bit. That's a weird way to do it. I don't think I'm doing it right. We'll just go with that. Oh, my control key just jumped off my keyboard. There we go. Oh yeah, all my hotkeys are different as well. Getting too used to Clip Studio. I feel like I should be able to do the map in Clip Studio actually, but it's kind of like a really big file, and I haven't tested how well Clip Studio handles like supermassive files. And I have, when I've had a crash in the past, lost work with Clip Studio, and that's not like an expected thing to have happen, but yeah, I know that if I have crashes with Photoshop, it is very good at recovering from that. So it should have a slope to it, but it doesn't, so it's just going to get coated in like a big clump of snow. So whoever designed this, terrible at their job. Okay. So, I mean, we have kind of like really bad wonky perspectives going. At the back of this should be more like yaw. If I step back and look at other kind of areas, they're a lot more kind of like looking down upon the subject. So I need to respect that a bit better. Honestly, it would have been easier if I worked along this kind of grid shape, right? So it's like really just kind of, you can't not do it. I could have plopped it over here. So something like that. I kind of like the very steep roof going to a less steep kind of roof for the awning here. That kind of has a neat quality to it. Don't see that too much. So am I just going to draw this one and go with that? Might. I mean, I can kind of show the layers of things a little easier with this too. I'm just going to do that. It's a steep angle to come in though. So I have to adjust that a bit. Alright, so I don't necessarily like this better. But I do want to just do a little bit more exploring with it. Okay, so if I just make sure that this outer area here has kind of like good angles, that should translate for the rest of it. Yeah, it almost has like a bit of a kind of ranch farm vibe, which I feel like is very classic. That's kind of the era, I think, that I want it to convey, which, you know, Claw Shot City, right? So, let's see. I actually really like the Back to the Future 3 train idea. Thinking about that now. The flying train. Back to the future past. Are we getting a festive train on the journal theme this year? Pfft, no way. Why would you get that? I wouldn't possibly have already been drawing that at all today. Crazy idea. Crazy idea. How do you like my really good kind of like webcam setup, where you can just see my like really overblown hoodie on my chair and shoulder, and just like, you know, beautifully shaved jawline. It's a wonderful, wonderful camera setup that has just kind of like slowly tilted over time and never been adjusted. I mean, I kind of want it to be like angled down, because like when I'm drawing, I'm like giving that good kind of like hairline, but I feel like, why do I even have the camera up? I suppose for the beautiful plant foreground. It's wonderful. Hoping the tier 2 traps get more skins going forward. I think that is what we're going to be doing more now that sufficient time has passed and we have better mechanics for actually earning those traps. So I personally would like to get more trap skins for those. So I think that you can expect that there will be more. Yeah. Yep. Mail pouches for pickup while moving. That was what they were. Okay, cool. Just kind of like looking at old chat. But yeah, so we could have those. So was it that they literally like hung those things out, and as the train like rode by, it could like snag it and carry it along, kind of thing? Like, was it actually like lancing a target in motion to kind of like grab it, or is it like at the stops they could just like transfer it over real quick and easy using like a swing? Hello, eraser. All my hotkeys stopped working. Yep. Okay. That's annoying. Oh, I see. I accidentally selected text like that. Just that little highlight made it so all my hotkeys stopped working. Sick. All right. We're back now. I could have this kind of come out here. So I feel like the some of those details would be on the pillars. Yeah, you'd have like the pillar for track 1 and track 2 or something like that. Hello, Eraser. How you doing, buddy? What kind of pet would you would have that name if you were to call a pet Eraser? For some reason, I was thinking like a lizard. Kind of cute. Right. My smudge brush is not on that hotkey because Photoshop does not allow that to be a hotkey. Buff the old map, please. As in like the hunting treasure map? I feel like I would name a pet that. Okay. So I feel like that does read as a train station, so that's success. But I want to make it feel a little more kind of festive. Again, I actually do want to have different times on these clocks, just because I think that's interesting and weird. There's no significance to those times. I don't put those hands with any purpose. Although, if anyone thinks of some good times, I can try and make that work. Okay. Very much in advance. Yeah, that's the one thing about working on kind of like pipeline content where effectively we need to kind of like have it ready and completed far enough in advance that, you know, we can release it with the knowledge that it's fully working, there's no bugs, and we make sure to add all the features we want to it. And of course that takes time to create, therefore we actually need to develop it well in advance. And honestly, the further ahead we are, the easier it will be to kind of work on new permanent content, which is something that has been a struggle to kind of like be able to get ahead of, right? It's very much, you know, event season, quality of life tweaks and updates all over the place. They just kind of like consume any available time at all. So, you know, finding room to kind of like be able to work on new permanent content is always kind of like we really have to work hard to make sure that we have the space to do that, and therefore, you know, working on events quite a bit ahead of time is how we can do that. Get it out of the way, be able to go back to permanent content. Because having to work on something reactively is not ideal, and we've certainly had to at times, and I feel like that produces the worst kind of product when all you can do is kind of like try to keep up. You can't kind of like get ahead of stuff and really push things. So, hence it being festive design time. Although honestly, it's not like crazy ahead of time. Like technically, we could have been working on this, you know, 6 months in advance, and that's a bit much. But at the same time, you know, if we want to have like something really innovative and incredible, and like really have all the opportunity come like November, December to like work on not event stuff, then that is a way to kind of be able to manage that. But I feel like we would be like frustrated almost to work on holiday stuff half a year ahead of time. It's like I'm not in the festive spirit working on this. Not that I am right now. I still want it to be, you know, like Halloween, so. Okay. It's okay. I'm not like thrilled about it. The other design, let's see if we like this better. This year, there's 2 train stops right beside each other. All aboard, last call. So I mean, is this one cuter? We'll make it easier to talk about these. So I feel like A might have kind of like a little bit more personality and how well it reads, maybe. I think that there's more kind of like room to kind of add to these. Like I kind of want to have like little kind of evergreen bushes around, because I feel like right now they don't feel like they belong to, you know, the holiday, but evergreens are kind of a nice way to kind of imply that. And then we can do things like, you know, adding giant candy cane to the roof. You know, that kind of thing. So we can definitely festive it up. Like the signpost, yeah, we'll keep that. I agree. B? Okay, cool. B does fit the map better. I think that the scale and kind of angles are nicer. The look of A, but the size of B. Maybe it's a bit too long. But at the same time, I actually kind of think that that's what you would want in a train station. You know, it's a platform, right? It's supposed to kind of like allow access to multiple parts of the train, all from the same kind of runway. But here's the thing: the locomotive for the Gnawnian Express is not a passenger train so much. It's actually a little kind of delivery vehicle, and it's very tiny. It's like an engine and a boxcar, basically. Not even a boxcar. It's an engine and like just a carrier or whatever. So it being cute and stumpy would totally fit this, just maybe even better. I don't know. Now I'm like questioning how important it is to even be a train station if it's like just kind of you're loading it up and sending it off or something like that. I don't know. I think the narrative is that you're actually traveling on it, though. You're like the conductor, maybe. To be fair, the theming is kind of, you know, you're doing a lot of things during the event, because a lot of it is through the snow golems. So if you're familiar with that, you know that is a mechanic that you will get to partake in again, which is great. Let's see. So it's kind of got a cute little train vibe. Almost a toy train. Yeah, let's see. Okay, I think I am gonna shorten it, just because I do think that the personality on this one's kind of a little chippier. I don't know. Interesting. Okay, so to do that, I think I can just grab this and just slide it over top a bit. And I don't need to do much, I don't think. Here's something that Photoshop can do that I can't quite do with Clip Studio is just editing the transform layer by like erasing it using the selection, and it doesn't interfere with the other part of that layer that you're overlapping. That made no sense, but I like that it can do that. There's other like selection stuff that Clip Studio can do that Photoshop cannot, though. So it's I don't know. They both work very different when it comes to the selection stuff. And for the most part, I do prefer how Photoshop can manipulate stuff. In Clip Studio, when you're like making a weird selection like this, it like in Photoshop when I release, it's just gonna like take the bounding box of that. But in Clip Studio, it has like every overlap inverts and stuff. Actually, it does do that. Oh, I'm crazy then. Never mind. That's how it works here too. Maybe it was a different version of Photoshop, or I don't know. I do not know. Okay. So it's a little bit shorter. I think I prefer that. Barely took it in at all, to be honest. Did I take it in at all? Okay, so I think that needs to extend out just a bit more. Don't think I want the pillars to be right at the very ledge. Close though, close. Right at the very ledge. Alright. I mean, I want to like blow this up scale wise and like really like just get some cool pillar details. Like the cool thing that I like about some of the train stations that I've looked at for reference is just like how over the top they go on like the rafters and the pillars and just like crazy intricate kind of like ironwork and stuff like that to kind of, you know, just like really make something unique. And you know, I think that's pretty cool, but obviously I don't think that's something I can show properly here, so I'm not gonna try to do that. Okay, so this angle is a bit off. And I can just do this. Cool. Okay, so we're gonna go with that. We're gonna get rid of A. Actually, just so I still have it, I'll just move it over here. When I turn off the layer, it'll disappear and I don't need to worry about it. But I figure it has a little bit of something going on for it, so if I keep that around as a reference point, maybe I'll discover what that something is. Alright, so I feel like that is okay. Just goes straight off into the water. I don't know how I want it to like vanish off into other areas. I also don't know the actual order that we kind of like send it off in. I'm almost wondering if I want the train to be kind of pulling in from this side, right? Because then it looks like it's completed a journey, and it's kind of coming in ready to kind of go again, as opposed to kind of like riding off out to the ocean. Because I do not believe that that's going to be one of the first stops that you do. I feel like that's kind of like a later stop where you visit the isles over here. So yeah, I could see that kind of coming in later. I almost want it to like, okay, here's a crazy idea. What if we have magical train tracks where, okay, we have our train kind of coming in here. Also, it has very, very like good for the environment steam coming out of it. It's not gross, dirty coal. It's a holiday fuel for the engine, you know? Like Back to the Future, how they like use just kind of like waste to produce clean energy. That's it. Taking the gross sludgy coal from the boss and making it a wonderful, just kind of like essence of cinnamon that it kind of like trails out, and it's good. And these are just gifts that are flying out the back because it's just constantly, you know, as it like rides through your area, just gifts come flying out of it for you. This is a, you know, holiday train, why not? Okay. Have the tracks disappear into the tree so you don't know where they came from. Yeah, actually, that's not a bad way to do it. Just kind of, whoop, they disappear. But what I was thinking is like, what if they like are constructing themselves in front of the train and just kind of disappearing behind it or something like that? Does that work? It's kind of cool if I can make that read well. It would explain why the kind of the tracks suddenly exist, and then when the event is gone, they disappear again, right? Again, be careful crossing this trail here. Sudden holiday trains may come careening out of nowhere. Be warned. I'll put like a railway crossing sign here temporarily, though. It's like a big kind of like X with like a light on it, right? And then like a post to kind of be like, do not cross when this is down. Ding, 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 ding. Had a railway Xing back where I grew up. Not like right where I grew up, but it was like on my bike route that I would take sometimes. Just go there and watch like massive freight trains just ride past. They just go forever. It's pretty cool. Right. So can even just duplicate this, and then we like flip it. This is not gonna work. It's gonna be like 90-degree turn. Well, kind of works if I just like put it here. Sure. It tunnels into a snow pile. That's a good idea. Also, it's kind of like the festive comet, which I still want to make a thing because it's fun. Okay. This is why I like doing this live, because you guys have better ideas than I do. So, what if the festive comet came crashing down and like, because it does, it's just this thing that happens. There's this massive ice comet that is kind of like orbiting, on a yearly cycle, and parts of it break off every year and come crashing down with all kinds of weird properties. So this year came down, split in half, and there's just this weird train portal thing. Okay, that's maybe taking it too far. This is not like how we kind of designed it internally, so I don't want to kind of like go off the chain and just be like, guys, here's the real story of this event that you had no idea was, this way. But okay, I think there's some merit to just like having it travel into the comet and just vanish. Okay, so I want to give a little more room to do something like that. I suppose we don't need a giant bee here. Okay. So if I slide this down, okay, this is gonna be interesting. Okay, so instead of this like disappearing, reappearing track, which I think is a cool idea, I'm going to just slap that over here. I don't think I'll use it, but it's nice to just keep. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of details to make this a little harder to work on. Everything else should be fine. I'll get rid of that gift there. Okay. Okay. All right, so here's how I want to do that. So instead of the festive comet landing here, where it normally does, right? It landed here, right? Just right on that road. And now it has this, tunnel that the train comes out of. Suddenly, hey, there's the festive train on time, just out of nowhere, coming out of this strange comet. And then there's like a little footpath that is perfectly safe. You might think that you would walk across the train tracks going through this, but it's a magical ball of snow, naturally. The train doesn't exist beyond this threshold, or within. I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah. So that's a fun way to kind of like have the train vanish and appear. And I kind of like the idea of it like either going into another clump of snow, and that's how it like travels to different locations by just like snow teleporting, by snow piercing its way to different dimensions. Instead of a rounded comet, how about a giant gift box slammed into the ground? I like it. Maybe another year though, because I feel like that's more like a really good kind of like theme all on its own to just be like the great gift or something like that, and like have a story and gameplay built around that. Can you draw my like coyote running into the snow? Yeah, exactly. This is very much a Roadrunner trick right here. Just kind of coyote splatted on the outside. There appears to be a coyote-shaped hole right in the wall here. Yeah, let's see. I want it to be a little more kind of clumpy, organically shaped. So what do we think? Does this... So it could be that, or I mean, legitimately, what if I just kind of shortened this even more? Huzzah. Actually, undo that. I want to move this down closer to the track, like so, and then grab this whole thing and slide it off the beaten path, as it were. Trying to make that overlap in a good way. At this point, I think this marker could be over here. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. So like, let's move this out of the way just completely to start. I can figure out where it should go later. Okay, so if I move this here, and then just kind of scooch this over just enough, it's kind of like very obviously not covering over the road here, but it's also like, wait, where does the train, how does it, okay, weird. You know, so it's no longer like going to destroy anyone trying to go through this tunnel if the train happens to be traveling through it at the same time, because it's kind of something you would expect could happen. It just doesn't interfere there. So that kind of simplifies that. But now it's also like even more obviously weird how the train just kind of vanishes in and out of these snow tunnels, which I like a little mystery, a little intrigue. We have a very whimsical game, and honestly, anytime we can embrace that weird whimsy, I am all for it. So I'm just gonna lock that in. There we go. Okay, cool. So yeah, it just kind of travels through giant clumps of snow at crazy speeds, because that's fun. Okay. Hopefully none of the developers are like, Jacob, what are you doing? Why would you do this? Why would you do this? You ruined it all. What were you thinking? This design won't work at all. What? And then if it doesn't, I can just blame you guys. I'll be like, listen, I was totally gonna do the smart thing that, you know, we all agreed on that would totally have worked somehow. But the audience, they like forced my hand to make this train coming out of a giant clump of snow. I couldn't help it, you know. My hands were tied to this track, like some wily villain had captured me and were trying to lure a hero into a dangerous situation. You know? What can I do? What can anyone do? Draw a festive train driving into a giant clump of snow. There we go. So actually, I think that is a cool way to self-contain this, where I don't feel like it has to, you know, like have tracks just kind of vanish, or kind of like, you know, just, you know, like, oh, they're just kind of falling apart as the train goes. Yeah, I think this is fun. I like this. I almost want to make it feel like they're more kind of like the front and back of, you know, like they could actually clump together and it was split in half. Do we want that to be the case? Like it did actually split in half, and now, yeah, I kind of feel like that feels better. Like maybe I'll angle this back a bit more, but like have a more kind of confident cliff face here, right? So they kind of are like, huh, huh. They're like looking like they go together, or like we're cleaved in twain. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think that's how I want to go with this. I'm liking that. Okay. So let's clean out that little quick sketch. Let's move this, and I guess I should do this right here. Let's try and make this feel a little more, obviously a train sign. And I think I need to oversize that because it's a really small element. And honestly, that's something that I don't do enough necessarily, is just like scale things to a point where it's kind of like, okay, this is kind of an important element, and I want that to be obvious. So I'm going to oversize it just to make sure that it is discovered. And obvious, right? Something I could probably do more of. So I could potentially do some of the wrought iron fancy kind of stuff that I like about some of the old school stations. Let's see, we're coming up close to 1 o'clock. Well, not super close, but closer. And we're still on the sketch, so I'm definitely thinking we're going to take a bit of a later lunch. Although, I don't know, depending on how it goes, maybe I will kind of like take lunch break and stream a bit afterwards. We'll see, we'll see. It might actually come together quite quickly though, so. Okay, so that kind of reads a bit better, I think, maybe. Again, I wish that the eraser that I have set up in Photoshop was working the same way it does in Eclipse Studio. It's just very, very nice to like keep the same brush, but just switch it to painting transparent instead of opaque. Just kind of makes jumping back and forth between the tools really smooth. Okay, so I like that. And actually, you know what? What if it was like candy striped? Yeah, that's a way to make it more festive. Doesn't need to be candy striped. Like it could be a band of just words. Decorative, green fluff, a wreath. Not a wreath, but you know what I'm talking about. That kind of garland, or it's not tinsel either. Help me out. Decorativeness. Wrapped in decorative. Garland? It is garland? Okay. Garland. I don't know why I was like, I don't think it's garland. Okay, so this, I mean, it could, feels big. That tree might be in a bad spot now. Also, it's at a weird, it's got a lean going on that I'm not jiving with. Garland. All right, garland it is. So we have it wrapped in garland. Garland. If you say things too much, it just loses all meaning. Garland. Okay, so huge. Shrink it down a bit. Is it still going to read? Is that tree in a bad place? I feel like the tree is kind of interfering now. Let's just put that behind. Let's even flip it so I don't need to erase and then paint in basically the exact same thing. There we go. Gnawnian. Yes, perfect. Thank you. In Narnia, it is Gnawnian. Okay, now I'm going to move this over. That feels a little bit more appropriate-ish. Should be like that. Is that more accurate to what it might be? Like, could have the little kind of like hitch thing here for doing the mail. That might be it. I felt like the signpost would be in the way if it was flipped the other way. So let's keep that. I'm okay with that. Alright, so clean up a little bit more, and I think we can actually render this pretty effectively. Let's go with our main eraser there. A lot of this is going to be snow-covered stuff. I'm going to have clumping snow on top here. And we can do things like just having like lights along it. I think that would be a nice way to kind of add some festivity to it. So if I kind of like tone the whole thing down and then just kind of do something like this. And that might be okay. Lighten up the snow. The clock is lit too. Okay. That should be fine, like that. I think that's working. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, we got our train. Got our tracks. We're just gonna snow cover that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Always blame someone else wherever possible. It's very true. Very true. Important life lesson, right? We have just like big clumps of broken off snow. I don't want to get overly complicated there because I want to kind of like give a little bit of render potential to the kind of like the fluffy cloud of holiday smoke coming out of here. I actually want to make it like sparkly and glittery and stuff. Like it's snow that kind of goes puffing out the top of this. Kind of fun. Okay. All right. I like how I have a clock here and here. I need to scooch this one over to this side where it might have a little more use. You know, so we can have a clock here and here and here and here. It's maybe a bit clock heavy. I might not read anymore as even a clock, so maybe I'll just get rid of that completely. Or I'll just leave it. I mean, it's not bad. I suppose having redundant timekeeping in a station where you're expecting arrivals and departures at very specific times is not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Yeah, okay, we'll keep it. Cool. Okay, so I can see that. Name sign. I feel like that has a name sign there, but you might be talking about the actual train station name, which would make a lot of sense. You know, you come in off the train and you're kind of like, is this my stop? Let me look. And you look out at the station itself, and lo and behold, it says that it is Buttsville. and then you're like, I will stay on the train. Thank you very much. So there you go. Gnawnian. Yeah. So welcome to. If I were able to make that legible at this size, well, I don't know. I would be impressed, I guess. Very small. Okay. Just have a little barrel here. Okay. That feels like it's a train station now. So I'm gonna just steal this candy cane because why not? Put it somewhere. Welcome to the town of cheese smells. Okay, so to move forward with this, I'm going to knock the sketch down a little bit, and then we'll do another layer between the backdrop that currently exists and this. And also, I'm going to save this file because it's a big one. Give it a second. Yeah, I got some icicles on stuff. Can try and do that. I think that's probably going to be hard to convey at this scale, but once things are rendered, I feel like that's something that I can kind of like add on at the very end. Just a couple of pixels here and there might be enough to kind of like be like, yep, that is where an icicle would form, and a nice bright bluish white kind of spike sticking off of something. There we go, finally done saving. It's a big file. All right, so new layer here. And we're gonna just grab that and yellow. Turn off the grid. Use this as just kind of nice shadow color here. I like this very bright, saturated blue here for the edge of this big hunk of snow. Just kind of create some subsurface scattering. darker for the tunnel here. And even darker. So now we have kind of like this snow tunnel happening here. Wrong layer, of course. Photoshop. Alright, I gotta turn on my hotkey override. There we go. Good. Okay, now I won't have that happen. Cool. I feel like that works. For this one, need to create a nice kind of hard edge here, just to make it really obvious, I think. Cool. Alright. Feel like that is all right. And now I think we can work on the station itself. So we'll start with a new layer for that. And let's just go for, well, maybe similar color scheme to kind of like what the town has. I feel like an old brick building would work. Or perhaps gingerbread. Gingerbread station. I think that I could lock in like the train and this marker all on that one layer as well. Should be a perfectly fine thing to do. Alright, and then the train. Don't need the smoothing brush for the train parts, I don't think. Hopefully that looks okay. Tracks can be on their own layer very temporarily. Use a smoothed accent brush for this. And we'll actually just duplicate that. Easy. Cool. Yeah, that's fine. Bam. All right. Now, actually, I will do a layer underneath this just for the boards, planks, whatever. Nice tedious brush strokes here. I'll probably knock these back even. Generally, these kind of are sticking out from under the actual rail. What with the rails sitting on top of these. Although, for design that we have for this event, we actually have them more self-contained. But I don't think it's necessary to kind of like illustrate in this view. there are way more efficient ways to do this, but sometimes I like a little tedium. Okay. Looking good. I think for this I'm gonna knock these back. Sweet. And also kind of have like snowbanks at the sides. Like this trail was kind of cut out. In which case, this will actually be a bit buried. This actually makes me want to make the tracks quite reflective and bright. A couple of spots. Yeah, I like that. Not right there though. The Legends of King Snowboy. Alright, let's see. I think these can go darker again now. Yeah, okay, I like that. Yeah, ice tracks. Oh, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, there we go. The train like freezes the rail ahead and then it melts behind or something. That's another way to make that mechanic work. Okay, so turn the sketch back on. So we're 6 minutes to lunch. I feel like there's more than an hour's worth of work. Oh, it's raining out. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. We're gonna go on a regular lunch. I'll come back with a Larry link, and we'll just keep streaming. I'll probably go like quiet mode again, but we'll see. Yeah, like I want to render these elements and add a little more kind of like clumping snow in places. So took a little while to get where I wanted it to, but honestly not bad. Gotta get that billowy smoke to look pretty and nice. I think that kind of gemstone blue will like help with that. Maybe like candy canes could be a little more kind of More festive decorations on the little kind of like station would be good. Honestly, legitimately, we'll be able to work on this for the rest of the day. So, yeah, we're gonna do lunch. We're gonna go on lunch now. Ooh, pardon me. When I come back, I'll have a Larry link for everybody, and we'll keep working on this. And yeah, keep tossing ideas my way. I've certainly used some good ideas from you all today, so I really appreciate that kind of input. But yeah, honestly, there's a lot that I could push on this, and I really do want to. So we'll keep at it for a little bit yet. Yeah, honestly, even just like throwing more snow everywhere, I could do for the rest of the day, and it'd be fun. But yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to put up a timer so you'll know exactly when I'm coming back, and I shall see you then. Alas, I'll be back. Can Steve make it? Oh, maybe.